Ever wonder what's up with the one engine that just refuses to die? Today, we're diving into the legend of the Chrysler Slant-6, because this wasn't just a simple six-cylinder you see in every old garage. It was an engineering marvel with an almost indestructible reputation. That wild 30-degree tilt, those funky manifolds, this thing has a story worth telling. Before we reveal 21 mind-blowing facts, make sure you hit that subscribe button right away and hype. If you've loved this video so far, let's get started. 1. The Leaning Tower of Power. Ever seen an engine tilted over on purpose? It sounds like a strange idea, but Chrysler's Slant-6 got its famous nickname, the Leaning Tower of Power, for a reason. It's literally tilted 30 degrees sideways. But this wasn't just a random quirk, it was an act of pure engineering genius. That subtle tilt allowed Mopar compacts to have a lower, sleeker hood line, improving aerodynamics and styling. It also lowered the engine's center of gravity, making those cars handle better. By freeing up space for a unique intake manifold, it also boosted torque. This simple twist gave the Slant-6 its legendary reputation for reliability and brilliant packaging. 2. The engine that just wouldn't quit. Ready for some serious engine longevity? The Chrysler Slant-6 225 wasn't built to just survive. It was built to thrive, powering Mopars for 23 years straight, from 1960 to 1983. And that's just for cars. Trucks kept it churning until 1987, while industrial and marine applications stretched its life well into the 90s. Most engines become dusty after a decade, but this iron beast kept on flexing. Chrysler constantly tweaked it with better ignition, emissions gear, and carbs, yet the bulletproof core design remained untouched. It was cheap to run, easy to fix, and incredibly versatile. For Mopar fanatics, the Slant-6 isn't just an engine. It's a symbol of engineering that outlasts generations. Talk about serious staying power. 3. Chrysler's aluminum Slant-6. From 1961 to 63, Chrysler had a big idea: shave 80 pounds off its Slant-6 engine by making the block from die-cast aluminum. It sounded great on paper, and they produced about 52,000 of them. The plan was to use tough iron cylinder liners and main caps to keep the strength, but things didn't quite work out. The lightweight block was a headache waiting to happen. For starters, it was highly vulnerable to corrosion, especially when the cooling system wasn't maintained perfectly. What's worse, the iron cylinder liners sometimes separate from the aluminum block under stress, causing catastrophic engine failure. Add in tricky head gasket seals and a weaker open deck design, and it's no surprise the experiment ended by 63. Good luck finding one today, because if you do, a running engine will cost you a fortune in repairs. 4. Torque King, not a track star. Why the Slant-6 was under-square by design. Let's forget screaming horsepower at redline, because the Chrysler 225 Slant-6 was built for a different kind of thrill. This engine was under-square by design, meaning its stroke, 4.125 inches, was longer than its bore, 3.4 inches. Why the long stroke? To create a torque monster, plain and simple. Drivers didn't need to bury the pedal, the power hit early and hard, perfect for tackling city traffic, hauling gear, or just cruising without a fuss. While competitors chased high-rev horsepower with over-square setups, the Slant-6 calmly delivered a steady, usable push where it mattered most. It might not have topped the charts for peak horsepower, but it absolutely owned real-world drivability. When you need grunt at 2,000 RPM, not 6,000, this engine delivered every single time. Chrysler knew exactly what everyday drivers wanted. 5. The banana manifold mystery, intake and exhaust sharing aside. Ever scratch your head at engine design? The Slant-6 certainly gives you a moment. Its intake and exhaust ports bizarrely share the same side of the cylinder head. This unconventional setup forced Chrysler engineers to get creative, resulting in the legendary bunch of bananas intake manifold. Its curved runners elegantly snake forward and back, twisting to feed each of the 6 cylinders. And remember that 30-degree tilt? It conveniently created the perfect space to tuck this unique plumbing away. Now, those runners aren't equal length. Cylinders 1 and 6 get the long straws, 2 and 5 medium, and 3 and 4 short. This isn't ideal for high RPM power, but it secretly boosts low-speed torque, aids warm-up, and even helps emissions. Weird? Absolutely. Brilliant? Without a doubt. 6. The lightweight Slant-6's secret. Iron heart in an aluminum body. If you have heard of that brief aluminum Slant-6 experiment from 61 to 63, here's a cool detail you might have missed. Chrysler didn't just pour aluminum and call it a day. Nope. To ensure durability and prevent rapid wear, they smartly inserted high-nickel iron cylinder liners right into those lightweight aluminum castings. These tough iron sleeves handled the piston friction and heat, while the surrounding aluminum still delivered those crucial approximately 80 pounds of weight savings. They even bolted in iron main caps for rock-solid crank support. It was a clever hybrid strategy, half lightweight hero, half iron beast. But alas, combining two different metals brought its own headaches, making these rare blocks prone to corrosion and the dreaded liner delamination. A brilliant idea, but ultimately a tricky engineering dance. 7. Stock powerhouse. Why 215 pound-feet of torque made all the difference. When the Slant-6 first hit the scene in 1960, it wasn't bragging about quarter-mile times. No, this engine was built for grunt. Factory specs for the original 225 Slant-6 boasted 145 horsepower at 4,000 RPM, which was decent. But the real star was its 215 pound-feet of torque, kicking in at a low 2,800 revolutions per minute. That long stroke meant you felt the pull immediately, making it feel much stronger than its horsepower numbers suggested. Forget stomping the gas just to get moving. The Slant-6 delivered that sweet, usable power right off the line. While numbers shifted a bit over the years due to emissions and tweaks, that initial torque rating remains a key part of Mopar lore. It might not rev to the moon like a V8, but with 215 pound-feet on tap, it had the muscle to handle whatever you threw at your day. 8. The Argentine anomaly, how a tuned Slant-6 became a muscle car. Who knew the humble Slant-6 had a wild side hidden away in South America? Down in Argentina, Chrysler decided to unleash the beast within, creating the legendary Dodge Polara RT Coupe from 1973 to 75. They crammed a souped-up 225 slant engine under the hood, featuring a gutsy Holley 2-barrel carb, a hotter camshaft, and a bumped-up 8.5:1 compression ratio. The result? A surprising 174 horsepower at 4,400 revolutions per minute, paired with a stout 246 pound-feet of torque. This wasn't just a numbers game. That tuned 6-cylinder rocketed the RT from 0 to 63 miles per hour in about 11 seconds. In a land of V8s, this Slant-6 powered machine became a genuine 6-cylinder muscle car, turning heads and proving that even a leaning tower of power could pack a serious performance punch when properly unleashed. 9. Hyperpack. Turning a Slant-6 into a 196 horsepower race monster. And if you still think that the Slant-6 is just for grocery runs, wait until you hear this. Chrysler dropped an upgrade between 1960 and 1962. The legendary Hyperpack race kit. This wasn't some mild upgrade, it was a full-blown transformation into a genuine racing beast. We're talking a massive long-ram intake manifold topped with a powerful Carter AFB 4-barrel carburetor, aggressive dual cast-iron headers, a sharp 276-degree duration cam, heavy-duty valve springs, reinforced push rods, and high-compression pistons cranked up to approximately 10.5:1. The payoff? A staggering 196 gross horsepower from a 225 Slant-6? Sure, it meant a lumpy idle, a thirsty fuel appetite, and it was manual transmission only. But for those brave enough to bolt it on, the Hyperpack turned a mild 6 into an absolute compact-class terror on the track. Don't let the factory numbers fool you. 10. Daytona domination. When 7 Slant-6s swept the field in 1960. Talk about making an entrance. Back in 1960, NASCAR debuted a brand new compact sedan division for smaller 6-cylinder cars. What happened next? Chrysler unleashed 7 Valiants, all powered by Slant-6s packing those insane Hyperpack kits at Daytona. The result wasn't just a win, it was a total domination. Every single Slant-6 Valiant finished in the top 7 spots, sweeping first through 7th place. The winning Valiant screamed around the track, averaging over 122 miles per hour. This wasn't luck. It was undeniable proof that Chrysler's leaning 6-cylinder had serious racing DNA. NASCAR quickly retired the class, but the legend lives on. For Mopar diehards, that Daytona showdown is etched in history, proving the Slant-6 wasn't just tough, it was absolutely unbeatable. 7 small sixes, 7 top spots. Coincidence? We think not. 11. Indestructible legend. Ever heard an engine get nicknamed a cockroach? Or even better, the Leaning Tower of Power? That's the Chrysler Slant-6 for you, and it earned those titles for one reason. Epic, stubborn reliability. We're talking legends of these motors chugging along with broken fan belts, low coolant, or even neglected oil changes. They just refused to die. Taxi fleets piled on hundreds of thousands of miles, farmers abused them in trucks, and hot rodders pushed them hard, yet they kept on going. Even when pesky emissions rules and cost-cutting trimmed their power, the core block stayed ridiculously tough. Many swear it was the most overbuilt 6-cylinder of its era, designed to outlive the vehicles they powered. Underpowered sometimes? Maybe. Indestructible? Absolutely. This wasn't just durability, it was Mopar stubbornness at its finest. 12. More than just a car engine, from boats to tractors, this 6 did it all. Think the Slant-6 was only for your grandpa's Dodge Dart? Think again. Chrysler truly engineered this engine for everything. It wasn't just powering cars, it was the reliable heart beating inside industrial pumps, humming along in generators and sparking up welders. You'd find it in farm tractors, rugged skid steers, and cruising RVs. This powerhouse even made its way into boats, smoothly pushing hulls through the water with only minor tweaks to the cooling system and exhaust. That incredible versatility came straight from its low-end torque, dead simple carburetor setup, and that famously indestructible block. Mechanics loved it because parts were cheap, fixes were straightforward, and failures were about as common as a polite argument at a Mopar show. This wasn't just another car engine, it was a tireless workhorse, proving its mettle from city streets to open waters. 13. Super 6 Secrets, the 2-barrel upgrade that changed everything. By the late 1970s, even the legendary Slant-6 needed a little pep talk, or rather a pep-up. Enter the Super 6 option. Offered mainly on Dodge Aspens, Plymouth Valeres, and some trucks, this wasn't a radical redesign but a smart one. Chrysler swapped out the old single-barrel carb for a much-improved Carter BBD 2-barrel setup. The result? Instantly better throttle response, easier cold starts, and smoother, more confident acceleration. Exactly what daily drivers craved. Power saw a modest bump to around 110 to 120 horsepower, but the real magic was the drivability. Merging onto the freeway no longer felt like a fight. With a revised intake, different air cleaner, and specific throttle linkage, it was a complete, well-thought-out package. The Super 6 meant your rugged Slant-6 finally had that extra bit of smoothness and urban agility without compromising its legendary toughness. 14. Emissions era blues, when 145 horses became a mere 95. The 1970s hit engines hard, and the Slant-6 definitely felt the squeeze. What started as a respectable 145 horsepower and 215 pound-feet of torque was slowly choked down. By 1975, thanks to stringent federal emissions rules, the 225 Slant-6 found itself gasping at just 95 horsepower and 185 pound-feet. That's nearly a third of its original muscle gone in a puff of compliant exhaust. Chrysler piled on the emissions gear, exhaust gas recirculation, EGR, super lean carbs, retarded timing, and catalytic converters. The consequence? Performance that went from peppy to painfully slow. Hitting 60 miles per hour could take upwards of 20 seconds. Mopar fans sighed, but engineers had no choice. Yet even with its power nearly halved, the core Slant-6 stubbornly maintained its reliability. Slow? Absolutely. Dead? Not a chance. This block refused to quit. 15. Hidden heritage. The Slant-6's surprising big block V8 connection. Ever wonder how the Slant-6 got so tough? Here's a cool secret. In its early days, this leaning 6 actually borrowed some serious design DNA from Chrysler's beefy B-Series big block V8s. This wasn't just random. It was a clever move for cost savings and engineering simplicity. Why reinvent the wheel when you can adapt proven, robust designs already being built at scale? Things like the cylinder head architecture, valve angles, and even certain machining techniques echoed those mighty V8s. For engineers, it meant fewer new tooling and faster development. For buyers, it translated into reliability rooted in Chrysler's heavy-duty engine family. Sure, it wasn't just a chopped V8. It had its own unique quirks like that iconic 30-degree tilt and the famous banana manifold. But those early similarities gave it an inherent toughness right from the start, like getting a fantastic hand-me-down that just fit perfectly. 16. Forged versus cast. Crank, the big Mopar crankshaft controversy. Do you know why some Slant-6 enthusiasts obsess over what's inside the block? It's all about the crank. Up until mid-1976, every Slant-6 came with a rock-solid, forged steel crankshaft, the kind of durable part racers and purists crave. Then, in a cost-cutting move, Chrysler switched to cheaper cast-iron cranks. They were still tough enough for most daily driving, but the design changed. With narrower journals and different rods, that means you can't mix and match. For some, this big bottom-end shift created two different breeds of Slant-6. Most drivers didn't notice, but for those who knew, the original forged version was always the more bulletproof choice, even if the cast one did the job. 17. The Diesel Slant-6. That almost happened. Most people call the Slant-6 the economy engine legend because instead of sipping gasoline, it was powered by diesel. It almost happened. In the early 1980s, during the fuel crisis panic, Chrysler secretly began developing a diesel version with help from Perkins engines. The plan was to create a super-efficient diesel-sipping version of the legendary 6, complete with direct injection and beefed-up internals. But just as the project gained traction, the bottom fell out of the passenger car diesel market. Chrysler pulled the plug, and the high-torque, fuel-sipping Slant-6 was lost to history. This diesel dream remains a fascinating what-if, a ghost in the engine's long, winding story. 18. The manifold's unequal runners, a secret for torque, not speed. The Slant-6's famous banana manifold design is seriously weird. Its intake runners are all different lengths. The outer ones are longest, the middle ones are shortest. This isn't a flaw, it's a deliberate choice. These mismatched lengths hurt performance at high RPM, limiting top-end power because of conflicting air pressure waves. But at low to mid-range speeds, those unequal runners are pure genius. They smooth out torque delivery, help with warm-up, and make the engine run more smoothly. This explains why the Slant-6 feels so strong off the line but doesn't exactly scream at redline. It's the perfect design for a tireless, low-end torque monster. 19. The case of the leaky spark plugs. How owners fixed a quirky flaw. The Slant-6's reliability is legendary, but it did have one weird quirk: leaky spark plug tubes. Because the spark plug tubes run through the cylinder head, the seals can fail over time, letting oil seep into the plug wells. For years, owners have been sealing this with aftermarket crush washers or metal sealing rings. The trick is, this isn't always the right fix. Some head versions were redesigned to seal differently, and adding washers can cause problems. It's a classic Mopar story. A small, strange issue that became a big part of the engine's folklore, spawning countless forum posts and driveway fixes. 20. The big spark upgrade, when the Slant-6 went electronic. In 1973, Chrysler pushed the humble Slant-6 into the modern era, ditching the old points and condenser setup for electronic ignition. This was a game-changer. Gone were the frequent tune-ups and headaches of point wear. The new electronic system, using a pickup coil and module, delivered a more reliable spark and smoother running. While not completely bulletproof, early systems still had some common electrical gremlins. It was a huge improvement. Many owners still upgrade today, either by refining the robust factory system or using aftermarket kits for even better reliability. It was the moment this old-school engine finally got a reliable, maintenance-free spark. 21. More than an engine, how the Slant-6 became a legend. The Chrysler 225 Slant-6 didn't earn its fame through sheer speed. It earned its stripes through sheer survival. This engine was so tough that they called it a cockroach because it simply refused to die. Powering everything from cars and trucks to tractors and boats, its bulletproof construction made it a trusted workhorse. Even as the emissions era choked its power, its legendary block and bottom-end design remained practically unchanged for decades. Promotional and enthusiast rankings still consistently listed among the greatest engines of all time. Its incredible longevity, simple design, and broad usage cemented its status as more than an engine. It's a genuine industrial legend. In the end, we can say that the Slant-6 may be gone, but its legend? It still lives on in classic Mopars everywhere. This engine proved that clever engineering and bulletproof reliability are a winning combination no matter the era. So, which Slant-6 story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, be sure to subscribe and check out our other videos for more automotive history.